Hi, I'm André Xuereb, and it's a pleasure to sit down and talk about the PRISM project.
Can you tell us more about yourself and your background?
I am Professor of Quantum Physics at the University of Malta and head of the Physics Department, and I'm also founder of Mercury Cybersecurity Limited, which is a new Maltese startup that aims to combine best-in-class software and hardware cybersecurity systems with quantum cybersecurity systems to create the next generation of secure communications.
What is the EuroQCI initiative and what does it envisage?
So EuroQCI, or the European Quantum Communications Infrastructure Initiative, is something which was started a few years ago, and Malta was one of the first signatories. And the idea is that as a continent, as the European Union, we realized that cybersecurity is inherently broken in the way we do it at the moment. So we need something better. So the European Commission is investing heavily in creating this infrastructure, which by around the end of the decade, so 2030, 2032, will allow us to communicate as a European Union through quantum satellites, through quantum networks, in a way which cannot be hacked, cannot be eavesdropped upon. So ultra-secure communications between any point in the Union to any other point in the Union.
Can you define the focus and ultimate goal of PRISM?
So PRISM, or Physical Security for Public Infrastructure in Malta, is one of 26 projects which together form the first generation of EuroQCI projects. And these projects are intended to eventually create this Europe-wide secure network, which I mentioned earlier. So in PRISM, what we will be doing is developing and deploying a network of ultra-secure, quantum-secure nodes throughout the Maltese Islands to both figure out how to develop and deploy this technology, how to integrate it into our telecommunications infrastructure, which is an interesting technical challenge in itself, and also how to integrate it into the workflow of our public organizations. Now, beyond this, PRISM also has the aim to spread the word. Why do we need to go to quantum secured communication? What is quantum mechanics in the first place? So within PRISM, we're also going to be undertaking lots of communications activities with the public at large, with policymakers, decision makers, and also large organizations, which will eventually use quantum secured communication.
How does this project contribute to the overall long-term objectives, policies, and strategies of the Digital Euro program?
So the Digital Euro program is one of the more ambitious ways in which Europe is funding the creation and deployment of new technologies. And specifically, one of the focus areas is cybersecurity, as well as spreading awareness about new technologies and spreading their uptake. And these three bullet points are naturally a very good fit for our project. So we are targeting very directly cybersecurity. We're creating next generation cybersecurity technologies, and we're also making sure that we can spread the awareness about these new technologies and also increase their uptake in the Maltese Islands at least. Although these 26 projects together will ensure that this happens throughout the entire European Union. Longer term, one of the key points that the Digital Europe program is trying to address, specifically in cybersecurity and in quantum, is a question of sovereignty. That is to say, how can Europe safeguard its borders and ensure that the technologies that it uses are its own technologies? It doesn't rely on external actors. And in the case of Malta, this is actually quite an important point, because very often Malta is a user of technologies. We depend on external actors for our most critical infrastructure, whereas in this case, we will be developing these technologies, we'll be creating them rather than just using them.
What challenges does the PRISM project aim to address?
So within the PRISM project, we have a number of technical goals and challenges that we need to hit in order for this project to be successful. One set of goals is related with spreading awareness. What are the problems with our current cybersecurity model? How do we overcome them? How does this affect ordinary citizens? How do companies need to meet this challenge? So we need to reach out, we need to make sure we connect with all the stakeholders and spread awareness of these new technologies and how they will help us address these challenges. So that's one set of goals. Another set of goals is related to the technical challenges that we need to solve. So we need to figure out a way to properly integrate quantum cybersecurity devices with the ordinary cybersecurity apparatus, software and hardware that already exist, that companies already use. So we need to put these two together, which is not trivial. We also need to integrate these devices into our telecommunications network, creating a new quantum secure telecommunications network on top of the existing one. And we also need to figure out a way to bring these devices into the workflow of companies and organizations that will eventually need to use them. Now, one of the key opportunities that being in Malta gives us, because of the size of the country, is that we can, with present-day technology, create a country-wide network. So rather than focusing on a single city or a single region, we can actually go immediately for a network that spans the entirety of the country, from Marsa Scala all the way up to the north of Gozo. And that gives us an opportunity to look at new applications, new ways of doing things, and of course that comes with new challenges that we need to solve because of the added complexity, added scale of the network.
Who forms part of PRISM and what is their contribution towards this ambitious project?
So PRISM brings together actors from all over the value chain. We have prototypical end users from the public sector. Of course, the technology can also be used for the private sector, but within PRISM, we're focusing on the public sector. We also have academia and the private sector itself, which is creating the new technologies. So the project is led by RSM, and as coordinator, RSM is in charge of making sure that the project delivers and is running on time and is a good use of taxpayers' money. Then a lot of the technical heavy lifting is taken up by Mercury Cybersecurity Limited. So we will be developing the software, hardware, and deploying all of this throughout the telecommunications infrastructure in Malta. And as our telecommunications infrastructure provider, we have Melita Limited that will be giving us access to the fiber optic network throughout the entire country. This is the same network that delivers internet and TV to the entire country, and we will be using it to create a new super secure communications network infrastructure on top. Then we have UMNAI Limited and the University of Malta. One is the private sector, the other is the academic partner, and together they will be looking at next generation protocols, technologies that will eventually form part of the EuroQCI, but not within the first iteration. And then we also have, what I said before, are the prototypical end users from the public sector. We have the CIPD, Critical Infrastructure Protection Directorate. This is the government entity within the Ministry of Home Affairs that makes sure that our critical infrastructure, telecommunications networks, power stations, airports, everything is safe from cybersecurity threats and malware. And MITA, the Malta Information Technology Agency, which is in charge of the government ICT infrastructure as a whole.
How will the Maltese economy and its tech sector benefit from this ambitious project?
So a project like this, creating new technologies, always has fallout, direct and indirect, on the economy as a whole. In the first instance, we are creating very high quality, high tech jobs because it is not very common in Malta to have startups that are working on next generation cybersecurity technology involving both hardware and software, quantum devices, ordinary networking devices. This is a very exciting mix of skills, and we are creating a whole new set of jobs on this. Although this is for the project, and the project has a lifetime, the idea is that in creating the startup and in creating this momentum, we will be able to maintain this growth beyond the lifetime of the project. So the idea is to create the technologies within the project, create the jobs, create the new economic driver, and then use the project to keep this momentum going beyond the lifetime of the project. Ultimately, if we want to use this technology, if we want to deploy it throughout the Maltese Islands, we need to be able to develop it, we need to be able to build it, we need to be able to maintain service, everything else. So this will create a whole new economic driver. Of course, this ties into the broader context, the broader quantum technologies context. So in developing quantum cybersecurity technology, we are also training people in the art of quantum mechanics, both as users and as developers, which is important because we are now hearing about the incoming technologies of quantum computers, which will eventually also come into our marketplace. You know, we can already go on the cloud and use a quantum computer, but eventually these will become a lot more widespread, and we need people to know how to use them, to be able to apply them to all sorts of problems. So this project is a gateway project to creating an entire new economic driver, which will of course have an impact on the Maltese economy as a whole, but also on the tech sector, and bringing in this new quantum technologies angle, also providing new jobs, also providing new opportunities for our students coming out of university.